Okay. Uh, I haven't meditated yet, and hold on, I'm gonna grab my tripod. I haven't meditated yet today, and that is fine because these videos these videos are my journal when I find that journaling takes too much time for the speed of my thoughts. How's that? Okay. And I was just walking down the street and feeling like I didn't feel like I didn't feel home where I am in this city. However, I don't think I would feel at home anywhere else. For some reason, that seems to be an illusion that slowly faded away over the last few years. And I don't feel at home here, but I don't not feel at home either. I don't feel uncomfortable and like I have to go somewhere else. Because as I said, I don't think I would feel at home anywhere else. And that's not to say I wouldn't feel comfortable anywhere else. I mean, feeling at home doesn't mean feeling better or more comfortable. On the contrary, it's like it would be fine to live anywhere else, and it would also be fine to stay here. So I don't know, maybe I'll still be here in 10 years. Maybe I'll be gone in 2 months. I have no idea. And I've been feeling this for a few years. So I've been looking for another place to live slowly, not that strongly, but sometimes. So since there's not a strong pull to move and there's not a strong pull to stay either, it's so hard to do anything, to make any decision or any move. Because last year we almost moved out and changed cities for my daughter's school. And it was so hard because I knew we could be happy there. This could be fine. We could find somewhere. But there wasn't a strong pull, a strong drive or motivation or passion to go there. So it was like, why go through all that trouble if I'm not feeling specifically pulled to go there? And at that point, I even had some resistance. So we were like, no, let's not go. She had resistance as well. And now I'm like, why not? Maybe this is the place to go. But I don't know. I don't feel any pull or push or any drive to go anywhere else. And as I was walking, maybe it's the change of seasons as well that does that to me, I think, especially fall. Like the wind is cooler and it's sort of like, what's the song? Wind of Change. It seems like change is around the corner, but it's not an intentional change coming from this like I want to move and I need this. It's sort of like a preview from the future. Like, I think change is around the corner, but I'm not initiating it. It doesn't come from me. But I remember feeling that before and nothing happened. Well, I mean, no move, no house and city move. And that feeling of not feeling home feels like grieving, like it's the end of something or something's over. I was walking just now and looking at apartments and houses, and I remember a few years, decades ago, I would dream of living in those places, in that neighborhood, and I would feel this strong sadness and for not being able, for example, because maybe that neighborhood was too expensive. So I was feeling sad that I was not living there, and I was longing for that. And for some reason, I knew looking at all those places that it's over. I don't long to live anywhere specifically in this city anymore. Even the beautiful places that I can see. But the fact that I don't long to live in these places is not because they're not pretty, and not because I could not potentially live there sometimes, at some point. The fact that I don't long to live in these places is because I've lost the illusion that any place is special, and that any place is going to make me feel a certain way. So it's just neutral, and I've been in that neutral space that some people call at least, the spiritual desert for many months now. And it's not negative. It's not like, well, what's the point? Well, sort of. Sometimes it's like, what's the point in anything? But it's not a depressing what's the point. It's a genuine question. What is the point of doing anything if I don't believe that anything is going to bring me any value, or bring me anything, or bring me any specific emotion or feeling or satisfaction? So I sort of feel, I've told my friend that yesterday, I feel like I'm about 80, 85 years old, and I know the end is coming soon. I mean, I could live up to 100, so maybe there are still decades to live, but still, I suppose when you're 80, 85, 90 years old, you know the end is near, and you know you've done most of what you will do, so you probably won't run around from job to job, relationship to relationship, house to house. I think it's a peaceful, neutral space where it's just time to make peace with whatever happened, and that's how I feel. It seems like my life is over because I've lost this illusion that chasing things will bring me anything. So why chase anything at all? So I'm just there like a passerby, or like, I feel like those people, those old people on their balconies on a rocking chair, looking at, watching the sunset, watching the clouds, the moon, and the people passing by, and that life is basically over, and that you just do the small daily things you must do, but you don't expect much, you don't hope for much. That's the way I feel, and I'm like, well, I'm 39, my life certainly isn't over, but there's no drive to do anything. I feel I would love to be passionate about something. I would love to do work that's meaningful to me. I would love to have a purpose. I would love to look forwards to getting up in the morning to do anything, to do something, but there is nothing, and you can't force that. You can't force yourself to feel passionate or driven. Yeah, and I don't have that drive to find that passion, because I know nothing is going to bring me anything more than what's right here. So it's not negative, but it's not fun either. It's not alive. Yeah, I'd love to be alive. I would love to be engaged in life, but it seems like it's not the time for that, and I'm afraid to Because if I talked this way to anyone, any, let's say, doctor or psychologist, they would probably say that I'm depressed and that it's a problem not to be driven by anything. And I don't want to take antidepressants. I don't want to push myself. Yeah, I could actually push myself, like say, no, being passive and not doing anything is really wrong. In life, you have to be active, you have to do things, you have to go after what you want. Don't be passive, don't wait. But there is still these thoughts saying that, even though I find it kind of ridiculous when I say them out loud, which is a good thing too, which is different from journaling. When you say things out loud, they resonate, you hear yourself say them. So I guess making these videos is probably going to be helpful for me, or for me. It's not like I'm gonna rewatch them. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I'm bored though. I'm really bored. I would love to do something. But since I know deeply in my body, I feel this, I know this, doing something is not going to bring me anything. I'm not going to be a better person. I'm not going to be happier. There could be fun in the moment, and I would love to have fun and joy in the moment of when doing something, but not much brings me joy nowadays. I used to be so driven by fear of what will people say if I don't do anything. How am I going to pay my rent if I don't do anything? How is, yeah, but that, yeah, I was saying boredom. I'm afraid of that boredom, I think. Yeah, and since the awakening, I thought my work was about feeling the trauma in my body, which is often felt in my throat. And if I had to label these sensations, they would be rage, frustration, anger, resentment, feeling like a victim. Like, I know this strong sensation in my throat is intense and hides big suffering that I've felt before, and that's hard for me to feel. But I do my best. As soon as this sensation comes up, or the emotions of anger or irritation come up, I'm super alert and super willing to feel these emotions. And nothing happens. They still, sometimes they move, but they are still mostly there, and that, I guess it's fine. But I'm finding that the thing that is hardest for me to drop in, to surrender in, to let go into is boredom. Like because if I have this strong sensation in my throat or feel this intense emotion, I know to stop and to be with that sensation. But when boredom comes, which is not a strong, difficult, hard to pain, it's not a painful emotion. Anger, for me at least, is physically painful. Feels like I'm not going to be able to breathe. It hurts my body physically, so it's hard to stay with it, but I'm super willing to do it. But when I feel bored, which happens so much of the time, I've been home for 4 years without working full time at home, and my daughter's in school during the day, so of course I have things to do, but I have a lot of time on my hands. And when I feel bored, when I feel that I don't know what to do and I don't feel like doing anything and there's nothing really urgent I need to do right now, kind of feeling like I could just rest here, I just can't stay with it. I grab my phone, I go I'm like, oh yeah, I have to go grocery shopping, or I find something to do. I just can't stay with that boredom, and I have a hunch and intuition that this is the key. I have to stay there and go there. But staying there and going there they're just words. They're not actually, there's no way to explain or to know how do you go into boredom? That doesn't even make any sense to the mind, to the brain, because that's not something you can actually do. So even though a part of me is super willing, I'm feeling, I have a hunch that there's something there specifically where I must go, but there's no how. There's no how to go there. It's just, you just go there or you don't. And that's the strongest impulses. You know, when I feel these strong emotions, I have the impulse to go do something else, but I catch myself and I stop and I stay with the emotion, the sensation. But when the boredom comes, I can't even catch it. I immediately go to something else. I keep myself busy all the time. See, I've been home for 4 years without a job, and I'm super busy all the time. I'm hyperactive physically. Well, not always. I run around the house, do something. What's the word? Just being busy. You can do nothing all day but be busy. Like grab a glass of water, fill the pitcher back, just pick that up, or just fold that, or just walking around doing nothing, not accomplishing, not achieving things, but just keeping yourself distracted from the boredom. I know there's fear behind, that's obvious. Like, because behind that boredom, it's like that boredom, I guess, leads me to see that nothing means nothing, that there's no time, that there's no thing that I must do, really. So I guess it brings me to the fact that the fact that time doesn't exist sounds very ordinary. We hear it all the time in non-duality and awakening. But it can actually be scary, because if time doesn't exist, the ego, at least my ego, says, so then you're stuck here forever in this state. So for me, for my ego at least, thinking that time, realizing or seeing for myself clearly that time, there's no time, equals feeling pain or suffering forever. And I know that's not true, because I've seen clearly that time doesn't exist last year, and it has changed me. It has changed my whole physiology, my whole body. But the mind is still there, being afraid. Well, actually, it's probably because it's the mind that's going to disappear. Yeah, it's the mind that's going to disappear if there's no time. And the mind doesn't want to disappear, so it will pretend or try and convince me that I'm going to die. And that's scary. And even meditation is not as uncomfortable as that boredom, because meditation has an end, and you can... Sorry, I'm distracted by those text messages. Who am I saying sorry to? This is my video. No one's watching it. Ugh. And all that I'm saying is still just words and mind. It's not actually going through the thing. It's not actually being there. So I'm gonna go meditate because that's my commitment and that's my plan. But I know even though 1 hour sitting in silence, in stillness, is a great opportunity to go through that fear, through that boredom, but it's not, because my mind says you're not bored, you're not doing anything, you're meditating, and in 1 hour it's going to be over. And the thoughts say, what are you going to do in this hour? And oh, what's going on? And my mind says, oh, see, your stomach is growling, oh, you could do that later. So even the ego can be comfortable in meditating because there's an end to it. Meditation retreat is another thing though. The last retreat I participated in was 5 days, and it was excruciating. It was 5 days of hell, 5 days of my mind saying, stop doing that, that's useless. And I kept thinking, this is my last meditation retreat, I'm over this now, it's time to try something else. Doesn't bring me anything. I just want to live. I'm so tired of sitting in silence. It's fine. I've been doing nothing for 4 years now. It's time to live. So stop doing that. I almost quit. And I thought, never again, no more. And as soon as the retreat was over, the next morning I was like, oh, I'm going to do the next retreat. because witnessing that strong mind distances yourself from it, shows you that it's not you and it's just a process happening. So yeah, it feels better in the long term. All right, enough journaling. 22 minutes. That would probably have been 10 pages, and I would have a sore hand, and I wouldn't have been able to write as fast as I think and speak.